What's up? It's your boy Serrano. We're going to be talking about one of the most controversial smartphones right now, and one of the most talked about smartphones when it comes to innovation, and one of the best devices that you could pick up when it comes to a foldable. But if you're brand new to the channel, I truly appreciate you for coming through. If you're new, definitely subscribe and get notified for more videos just like this. Make sure you stay locked into the end of the video. But if you're already a part of the crew, salute. Hey, what's going on, guys? So welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Serrano. So I've been using the Google Pixel Fold for about 13 days now, and I just wanted to share my experiences since I've been using it. And so I definitely think a lot of people are interested in picking up this smartphone. So I wanted to give you my honest thoughts about it and share some of my, opinions and things to that extent about the overall features. But we're going to be jumping into the cameras. We're going to be jumping into the battery. We're going to be also jumping into the performance and the build quality. But I definitely think this device has a lot of use case scenarios. So now that we got that out of the way, I wanted to talk about the ways that you can use it. One of the really cool ways that you can use the Google Pixel Fold is to use it in the tabletop mode. And the tabletop mode will give you the ability to use the keyboard to type on. It'll also give you a nice viewing experience, so you can use the keyboard or the screen on the bottom. And so right out of the box, I got a software update, and initially it was pretty hot in the hand, but after a few days, I was able to get settled in, throw a case on it. And so I was kind of getting adjusted to the overall temperature. So there's a lot of ways you could use it. Most of the time, you're going to be using the outer display. If you want to get a bigger display, you can actually fold it out and get a bigger and wider display. And so I definitely think that it was pretty cool because you get a lot of different ways that you can use this device, making it really nice to use when you want to actually do different things, kind of mix it up. And if you're the type of person who wants to get a lot more work done with the outer display or use it with the inner display, you're going to be able to actually multitask. And so I definitely thought it was pretty cool that you could use it in all of these different ways. And so obviously this is Google's first folding device. And so one of the things that I noticed is that the edges won't expand out to the side completely unless you actually switch the orientation. There were certain apps that did work on both orientations, but there was some apps that didn't work on either or. So it was kind of a mixed bag. But when it came to this device, as far as the main 48 megapixel camera, I noticed that it was very clear and really impressive when it came to the overall quality. And so that was one of the things that actually made it stand out. And so one of the selling points about the Google Pixel Fold is the 7.6 foldable OLED panel, which is going to give you 120 hertz refresh rate with the ability to watch HDR10 plus content. It's going to have 1000 nits, but up to 1450 nits peak brightness. And then on the inner display, you're going to get 1200 nits, but you're going to have the ability to get a peak brightness of 1550. And so I definitely use it in tabletop mode, because it's going to offer you a really nice viewing experience, and the hinge is actually very sturdy. So it's able to stand up on its own at any angle. And for the most part, as long as you throw a case on it, you won't scratch the glass when it's resting flat. But I definitely think that it's going to be a nice experience overall when it comes to using it. Now, when it comes to the processing on this device, we are rocking the Tensor G2. And so this is a pretty, competent processing chip that we've actually seen, and it's been tested and tried, and it's withstands most of the things that we needed to get done. And so I definitely think that was going to be pretty good if you were just using this device for gaming, doing some cloud gaming on Xbox. But I definitely think that this is going to be a very good experience when it comes to actually gaming on here, because it's going to give you a really nice immersive display to use, as well as really good performance. When you're gaming, on the top right corner of this display, if you swipe down, you'll be greeted with something called Game Dashboard, which will give you optimization, but it's only compatible with certain apps, not all of them. And so it will actually give you a frame rate counter. It will also give you a mode where you could do screenshots and screen recording. You could also put it on Do Not Disturb mode. And the last features that it's going to give you is leaderboards, YouTube Live. And so after using the device for about 30 minutes, one of the things you're going to notice is that when you're using it and holding it in the hand, at some point in time, every now and then, not every time, but every now and then, you're going to notice that the device will start to actually discrete heat from the back region, which is actually located next to the camera. And so for some reason that area tends to get warm for some reason. So I'm not quite sure why, but I definitely think that that's the only downside. But do me a quick solid. If you're still here, just type down below, I'm still here, so I know you're still kicking it with me. And I just want to remind you to hit the like button so we can get this video out to more people and help beat the YouTube algorithm. Okay. And so we got to take into account that this device will have, borders on some of the apps. We also do have to keep into account that this device will get warm from time to time. But besides those two issues, I didn't have any complaints whatsoever when using the Google Pixel Fold. And so I just want to make note that this device does have IPX68, which is going to give it the ability to actually be water resistant up to 30 meters for about like a half hour. But I wouldn't recommend dipping it in anything else other than fresh water, because if you put it in salt water or any other type of water with like chemicals inside of it, it actually can break down and be susceptible to damage. But the cool thing is that if it does get dirty, or if you use it at the beach, when you get home, you could actually rinse it off in, fresh water. And so you won't have any issues when it comes to the hinge mechanism or sand getting trapped inside there. What I like about the build quality of this device is the really sturdy hinge, the wider displays, the shorter display took some time getting used to, but now that I've actually been using it for some time, it's been really solid. And the fact that the hinge closes flat. But the one thing that I actually have a gripe about is the weight at 283 grams, because it's actually pretty heavy when you hold it in one hand for extended periods of time. And so I just kind of wanted to make a mental note of that. And so I really like the combination of cameras that they offered. They're going to give you the 48 megapixel main camera, the 10.8 telephoto and ultrawide. You're also going to get an 8 megapixel on the inside. On the outside, you're going to get the 9.5 megapixel camera for selfies. And you could also use the rear one if you wanted to take shots on there for selfies. But I definitely think that we're going to give you some of the best images when it comes to computational photography. And so the Google Pixel Fold has a combination of cameras that's designed to actually be able to use regularly, even if you're a professional. And so you're going to really get some really good usage out of the camera system. And so when it comes to using this thing multitasking and also in tabletop mode, that was actually one of my favorite ways to use it, because when I set it down on a table, it was really easy to actually watch content. And then also the keyboard was right there so I could type with it. It also does have the double tap to get your flashlight or your shortcut. But I wanted to show you guys some more of the front facing camera action. So stay locked in for that, okay? Hey, what's going on, guys? So this is the 8 megapixel front facing camera on the inside of the Samsung Galaxy, the Google Pixel Fold. But let me know what you guys think about the front facing camera on the Google Pixel Fold right now. Definitely think all cameras that you're able to use on the front facing camera for your face are going to be really good no matter which one you pick. But let me know what you guys think about the front facing camera, the 8 megapixel right now, okay? What's going on, guys? So this is the 9 megapixel front facing camera on the Google Pixel Fold. So obviously you can use the rear camera as the front facing camera, but this is just here is for convenience. So it's just an extra option. But let me know what you guys think about the front facing camera. It's the 9.8 megapixel camera. Hey, what's up? So this is 4K 60 recording on the cover display camera. So, I'm using the rear facing cameras to actually record as the front facing cameras with the 48 megapixel. So that's one of the benefits of having the Google Pixel Fold is you can record on the rear cameras as the front facing camera. So you could use that through the cover display, and that's actually gonna look very nice when it comes to vlogging, watching movies, like recording movies, So let me know what you guys think about the rear camera that I'm recording right now using my face with the flip display. So like I said earlier, I was really impressed with the overall quality. On the 48 megapixel main camera, you can get up to 20 times zoom, and it also gives you 8K as well as 4K 60 and 30 and 1080 60 and 30. And so I was pretty impressed with how far up I could get when it came to detail on objects with the zoom feature. I was also really impressed with the inner panel, because that inner panel was really nice when it came to scrolling through social media, watching Netflix, and also even reading my Amazon Kindle books. And so I was really enjoying the experience that I was getting when it came to, multimedia and things like that, browsing through social media, browsing through the browser application, reading Instagram stories, IG, Meta, the X app and everything like that. So it was going to be a pretty good experience. But the only thing is that certain apps didn't have the optimization when it came to the black borders on the right and left hand side. But for the most part, a lot of the apps that I was using, including the games, did have optimization when it came to using this device as far as the black borders on each side. But I definitely think this phone was built for a type of person who's like a camera enthusiast, somebody who doesn't want to carry around a DSLR camera, but still have really good quality when it comes to video when you're actually recording with this, compact foldable. And so if you didn't want to carry around all your equipment, but you did want to have some decent cameras that actually were able to record and not blow out the scenes, I definitely think this is the one you should choose. But one of the things I want to mention is that when it comes to charging, it actually needs 1 hour and 32 minutes to charge its battery from 1 to 100%. And so from 0 to 100, it's going to be an hour and a half. And so I definitely think that that's going to be a pretty long time for most standards of today. But the other thing is it won't have reverse wireless charging, so you can't charge your Pixel Buds on here. But the only thing that Google recommends is that using your 30-watt charger for the Fold, but just keep in mind that the phone supports up to 21 watts wired charging speeds when it comes to wired mode. And then for the wireless charging, is actually going to support 7.5 watts wireless charging. So when it comes to price for the Google Pixel Fold, there's a lot of ways that you can actually pick it up other than just buying it out straight out with the $1,700 or $1,800. And so if you didn't want to spend that money straight out of pocket and actually be in the hole or whatever, you can actually lease it. And, you can pretty much do payments on this thing with certain companies that are affiliated with Google. The hinge also feels really sturdy. Like when you actually bend it, it doesn't feel like it's going to break. It doesn't fold completely flat though, right? When you actually unfold it. So you have to actually add some pressure to it to make it actually look like it's folding flat. But for some reason, it doesn't actually fold all the way flat unless you put added pressure to it, which gives it the impression that it's flat. But I don't actually think that it goes all the way flat. So I just kind of want to make a mental note of that as well. But I definitely think that as far as the overall quality of it, it feels really good. Now, there was a sound that I did hear when it got to the point where it started to bend at this area. And so that was not really a huge concern. It wasn't concerning or alarming, but I did run cold water in that area and then the sound actually went away. But I found this device having multiple usage and multiple ways that you can actually use it on a regular basis. You could do your Zoom calls with it and Google Meets and team meetings. You could also just use it as a regular phone with the outer display, which was something that I thought was cool. The laptop mode or the tabletop mode, how they call it, is going to be a nice feature when you're actually in the office. It does have pretty good sound quality when it comes to the speakers when you're outdoors and indoors. But just one thing to keep in mind is that the speakers on here aren't going to be the loudest in the entire world, but it is able to be viewed outdoors in direct sunlight. I didn't really have any issues with it. The only minor thing that I was getting when I was using this is if I did have it in direct sunlight, I noticed that the camera would start to get hot at 90 degrees temperatures or higher. And then it would actually tell me that the camera was going to go to a lower quality. And so I actually at that point, pulled out my Samsung Galaxy Fold phone and took the recording of the footage because I noticed that this one was getting hot and I didn't actually want to overwork it. And so the main selling point of the Google Pixel Fold for me is definitely going to be that inner display, but also the form factor in the hand and the cameras, because Google actually touts that these are the best cameras on a folding device, which I would have to agree with at this point. But the Samsung cameras are actually really good too. So I kind of want to test those out on the Fold 5 because I definitely think that the Fold 5 would give this camera some competition. But overall, it's going to have a really nice display to look at. It's going to be really compact. The only thing is that it's going to be a little bit heavy and in one hand if you use it in one hand. So I recommend using two hands. And so the other thing is that the charging speeds might be a little bit slow. And also it will get warm from time to time every now and then. But let me know what you guys think about the Fold from Google. And if you're still here, just type down below, I'm still here, so I know you're still kicking it with me. And I just want to remind you to hit the like button so we can get this video out to more people. And I'll get right back with you. I'll check you guys later, okay? Later, crew. Peace.